Tell me what a bursa is.
It's a little sac, isn't it?
Right. It's a sac, and what's in that sac? Fluid, right. It's a fluid-filled sac. And what is the point of a bursa? Why do we have fluid-filled sacs? Right, cushioning. And where do you tend to find them?
Shoulder, knee.
Right, so they're in the shoulder, the knee, a few different joints where we might need some extra cushioning, right? So if a bursa is a fluid-filled sac, what then is bursitis?
Where it expands and causes inflammation.
Right, okay, so itis means inflammation, and bursitis is inflammation of the bursa. And what happens in bursitis is that the sac fills up with more fluid. Now, remember, a bursa, the purpose of a bursa is to provide cushioning. So under what circumstances might that bursa fill with extra fluid? What would be the purpose of that?
An injury, a direct injury to that joint.
Right, right. So it would fill because it needs to provide extra cushioning, either because there's been some sort of an impact or some irritation, and the bursa says, oh, I better beef up my responsibility here and provide some more cushioning. However, has anybody in here ever had bursitis? Okay, so can you imagine the consequences of having a giant fluid-filled sac in the joint where you have an injury or irritation?
Anytime you would move, it's probably.
Right, so especially in the case of arthritis, you already have limited space. That's what arthritis is, right? So we'll talk more about diagnosis later, but one of the ways that we diagnose some forms of arthritis is looking at the space in the joint. So if you take an x-ray and you see one bone here and one bone here, and then you see the space in between, and as the arthritis progresses, that space gets smaller and smaller on the x-ray, and we call that joint space narrowing. Okay, so joint space narrowing means that there's degeneration of that connective tissue that's in that space, and eventually it deteriorates to the point where we have what we call bone on bone, right? So then there is no joint space, we have bone on bone, and so imagine that things are rubbing and there's irritation and pressure, and so the sac fills up with fluid where already there was a constrained space. So not super comfortable, as you can imagine. And you might find that some people in your yoga for arthritis classes also have bursitis, and you want to be mindful of that and the movement constriction that can come with that. Okay.